In this video, I'm going to be installing the headliner in this 1974 Beetle, or at least trying. I'm going to be brutally honest with you folks, this is the first time I've ever done a headliner and it's a job I've been putting off on this car, to tell you the truth, because there's a lot involved in it and it's not for the faint of heart. The first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to not only strip out some of the interior, but we're also going to have to remove the glass, and the glass is going to be a right pain in the face to remove. At least in my mind it is. As I said, that's another job I've never done actually before, is remove glass from a Beetle. So there's nothing for it than to get stuck in. I'm going to start with the glass, and that will make things an awful lot more accessible. I also have some wadding to stick on the inside of the roof channels and stuff like that as well, to give a nice padded feel to it. And then we're going to start having a look at the headliner itself and seeing what's involved in that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to remove this chrome strip. So I'll be taking off this little joiner piece first of all, and dropping it on the floor. And just because this car has a ragtop, it means I can kind of put a couple of things up on the roof without fear of sort of damaging anything. And now we're going to just pry out this this piece of trim. This garage is absolutely freezing at the moment, and the problem is it makes all the rubber that much firmer as well, so that creates its own set of problems. Now we're going to pull this out without butchering it or bending it, and that should allow the window to just pop out. We'll find out now in a second. Alright. So we're going to put that aside, leave it up there on the roof. And now, let's have a look and see how we're going to do this. I have to apologise in advance for the noise of the heater in the background, but it's a necessary evil. It's -7 degrees outside today, so yeah, definitely heat is necessary here. So you'll see over this side I have the window removed, so I've kind of, well, I don't want to say perfected my technique, but I figured it out before videoing it, so I'm going to show you now how I did it on this side, because it was effective, it worked. So let's get stuck in. So after removing the beading on the outside, what I did then is I got my trusty plastic scraper here, and I just kind of went in around the edge of the window, just to break the kind of the seal between the bodywork and the window. Now don't be inclined to use a metal scraper here, because you'll scrape the paint and you could introduce a point where rust could creep in. What I would recommend you do actually is, if you are going to be replacing the seals, just cut these seals out. Get a knife, run the knife right the way around, and that'll allow the window to pop out very easily. But these are only new seals, so that's not what we're going to be doing. We're going to be removing them with the seals intact. So I'm just going to work around this side. I'm not worried about too much about the other end, and I'll show you why now in a minute. So what we're trying to achieve here now is this rubber seal has to stretch over the lip of the bodywork. So what I'm doing is I'm actually getting the scraper and just pulling it back a little bit like this, so that we can make a start in it, and while applying a bit of pressure on the window, and we're going to push it out and then just try and push the seal out. Now do it very carefully. To be honest with you, this is definitely a two-person job. If you have a second person, get a second person to hold the window outside so it doesn't fall on the ground and break on you. I, on the other hand, am a solo flyer in most cases, and also I'm a bit of an idiot, so I'm going to be doing this on my own. But what I do have is a suction cup, so I'll be attaching the suction cup to the inside of the window to give me something to hold on to when the window does pop out. So I'm going to get you guys set up with a tripod and you can watch what I'm doing. See here now, I have the seal pushed over to the other side of the bead, just in the small part, and that's really kind of all you need to kind of get started. And then you can start applying a bit of pressure. Now you see the way it's actually popped a little bit, so we're going to go outside and we're going to actually grab it and take it out. That's basically that. The only thing we have to do now is remove the windscreen and the rear window. Same procedure, so I'm just going to get that done and I'll bring you back when it is done. Okay folks, definite progress. We have the windscreen out, the rear quarter lights, or whatever you want to call them, rear window, And I've taken out the sun visors and the rear view mirror as well. The last thing I need to take out, and this is the curveball, is the ragtop. So this should be interesting. I thought I was going to need to remove the headliner, but in actual fact it looks like the ragtop, but it looks like the headliner actually goes into this channel along the inside of the ragtop. So that being the case, then I don't see why I would need to remove it. What I do need to do is clean that up though, because that bit there then will be visible. It's a funny one, all right. I have to have a think about this now, see what way it actually goes. Is that a clamping strip or what's the story with it? A little bit of thinking involved in this now. Okay, so with the ragtop roof open, you can see that there are 4 nuts here, and these, so far as I can tell, actually hold the ragtop roof part of the roof onto the frame, if you know what I mean. So we're going to take them off, and then that'll allow us to take this bit off, and it'll leave the frame in place. And then the fabric of the headliner is actually bonded onto this, so it'll be folded over this and clamped onto the other side. So we'll have a liberal coating of adhesive along there and on the other side. It'll be all clamped into place, and that should be the job. So yeah, let's get those nuts off and see what happens. And pretty much as expected, the fabric of the ragtop comes off. Happy days. It gives me an opportunity to clean it actually as well, which is great, because there's kind of some staining on the inside of that fabric, and I don't feel the need to replace the entire fabric of the ragtop, just the rest of it basically. But yeah, that's fantastic. That definitely makes life easier. Last things to remove are the inner panels here, and I think I probably will have to remove those carpets, which I sort of foolishly installed. Not the end of the world though, in fairness, I can put them back in again afterwards. And I need to remove the seat belts, because we're going to have to redo the A pillars here, or B pillars here as well. So I'm hoping the material for the headliner comes with those bits. If not, we'll just reuse the black, but it'll clash a little bit. But sure, look, we'll make it work. My focus in all of this is actually to make this car a nice thing to actually be in, as well as kind of performing well. So there will be more engine work to be done on that over the next while too, and I have a few things up my sleeve on that front, and not the least of which is I will be installing large bore heat exchangers, the vintage speed ones, which are incredibly expensive, but they're fully powder coated aluminium heatsink fins, all that jazz. And by all accounts are a very nice piece of kit and will actually give me heat. But the other thing I want is a thermostat on the engine, because at the moment it's not running the thermostat, and that just doesn't strike me as being right. So I'll probably go back to a stock fan shroud and thermostat, heat exchangers, all the heater gubbins and everything like that, so that the engine warms up nicely and provides good heat in the inside of the car, and have demisters, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, there's a few little things like that, but let's focus on the headliner first of all anyway, and there'll be a bit of sound deadening to do in the process as well. A top tip if you're ever removing seat belts is to put a cable tie around the belt so that it doesn't disappear into the reel, because if it does, it ain't coming back out again, and then you basically need to bin your seatbelt reels. So just stick a cable tie around it, and that stops that from happening. I'll be doing that on both sides before I unbolt them. Okay, I think it's fair to say we're ready to start installing some stuff in the car now, rather than pulling stuff out of it. So the first thing I want to do is install some of the wadding that I bought, which is basically, it's a kind of a cotton backing to give the headliner a nice soft feel. And yeah, it should be fairly straightforward to stick on. Just going to be putting it up along the roof channels, up along here, and then down around the back along the rear quarters, and down underneath the windows and stuff like that. So that should make things nice then. And yeah, so we'll be doing it basically by cutting out some strips. This is the stuff in question. So it's going to go up along here. So I probably went overboard with the wadding, but
to be honest with you, I think it should give a nice result and give a kind of a quality feel to it. So that's why I did an extra little bit. But yeah, I'm really happy with that now. So that's the first step done. Well, probably about the third or fourth step. The only thing is I made a bit of a mistake and I covered over the holes where the bows go for the headliner, so I have to try and find where they are. That's going to be a bit fiddly. But other than that, should be alright. Next thing to do, lay out the headliner and have a look and see what we're dealing with. Okay, so it's time to install the headliner. So we have a classic line white perforated vinyl headliner, which is what we're going to be putting in. So let's take it out, lay it across the top of the car and see what we're looking with, how we're looking. So this should be what's called a one-piece headliner. So let's get it all straightened out, ideally without trailing it on the floor. Now obviously you're going to have to cut a right big hole in this because of the fact that we have, yeah, they're the ones for the door pillars. Right, here, put that up there. Right, just it comes with instructions anyway, so such as they are, and MP is who makes it. So look, it's, yeah, fine. I've used many MP things before, and their quality can vary quite drastically, but that's all right. We'll proceed with caution. So now, this is going to go up over here. Okay, like that. So we only actually have two bows to go in, the rear two. And I know I said that I didn't identify where the holes, where the bows go into. There aren't any holes. It goes up between the roof channel. I might just put some heat shrink sleeve or something on the end of the bows though. It just strikes me as good sense, so it's not metal on metal. So this is the door pillar piece, one of two. It actually says in the instructions you have to separate the single piece that you get into two pieces, which I've done. So now what we need to do is we need to put this into the hooks down along here. Now off camera I actually I spread them out so that this will actually go in. And what we do is we just offer that up into the groove all the way down. So what I'm thinking might be an idea here is if we actually just bend one of the things in there now so that actually holds it at the top, and then I can get the one at the bottom and pull it tight, because that's just falling straight out there at the moment. I can get into the car and do that. This is my soft-faced hammer with a glove on the top of it, because I tend to use my soft-faced hammer for machine work and stuff like that as well. So it's not the cleanest in the world, but we don't want to get our headliner destroyed. So the glove will keep it clean, hopefully. So let's, I'm going to get into the car. Oh, shit. That was the interior light. It's alright, I have a replacement anyway. So now we can pull that tight down the bottom and knock the claw in down there as well. Striking has been right. The reason being is that those claws are kind of basically sticking into the material itself, which is only going to end up tearing it. So I'm wondering, are they literally supposed to just catch onto the rubber? Yeah, that would make more sense. Yeah, so that's what happens. So it catches the rubber and it doesn't catch the material. So if we knock those in now, hopefully that will make more sense. Yeah, actually if you look, if you bend the material right the way around like that, you'll see the hooks kind of just catch that rubber strip.
Okay. Yeah, that's much better. That'll give a cleaner look now. Okay folks, so I've seen it done this way many times before on different cars, and it turns out that that's actually completely wrong. Because if you look on the driver's side here, where I've actually just done a couple of them, this piece here, which is actually called a windlace, goes in like that and gets caught there, and then that just bends around like so, and you get a much nicer little finish there. And yeah, it's much more straightforward and gives a much better finish. So I'm going to do it this way on this side, and I'm going to correct the one on the passenger side. And yeah, look, the thing about this video, folks, is that this is not necessarily going to be an instructional video. It's more well, you'll learn a bit out of it, but you'll probably learn from my mistakes more than my method. And it's in on this side, and literally took me 2 minutes, whereas it took me about 20 minutes of faffing around to do it the wrong way over there. So there we go. Just goes to show, folks, a little bit of reading is definitely worthwhile, and thank you to J-Bugs, whose video really helped me on this one. So now I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to do it the right way. Okay, so I've put a piece of foam tape down there. You could use some of the wadding if you didn't have foam tape, but I have some, so that's what I used. So that'll give a nice little finish there, and we'll be able to bring this material around and work it into the window opening. So what I need to do is I need to spray it with some adhesive first of all. It is very important to make sure that you apply the adhesive to both sides of the material and the car. And the other thing you do as well is you wait until it goes tacky before you try and stick it. Otherwise you're at nothing. Right, now, moment of truth. Not too worried about wrinkles and creases and stuff like that. I'm hoping they'll kind of go out with an application of a heat gun or something along those lines when the time comes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray a bit of adhesive down here on both the body of the car and the material. We'll let that set for a little while, and we will cut some relief cuts in it to allow the material to get around the corner. I had a bigger scissors, I just don't know where it went. I literally, I don't know why, this is the only scissors I have in the garage. It's a ridiculous size, this thing. It also doesn't cut very well. I think I need to get a better one than this. Need to let the adhesive go off a bit. Found a better scissors. Alright, so now we need to trim the material. It seems a little counterintuitive to have the fabric going into where the window is going to be sealing up against, but that's what people do, so see, we'll go with that. So now I have a piece of this trim which is just going to go on here temporarily while the glue sets, and hold that all together.
in there as well. You know what? I can absolutely live with that. That's fine for the purposes of this exercise. Now, I still need to do something about this. It's all kind of puckered up, and I'm going to pull it down at the bottom and just try and get that a bit better than it is. I think the trick here is because the garage is so cold, I just need to let the adhesive set just that little bit longer. So that's what I'll do. Okay, so it's a few days later for me, and the B-pillars came out reasonably okay. A couple of little kind of creases and stuff like that I'm hoping will iron out when I start putting the cards on the inside and stuff like that. But we'll address that at a later stage anyway. They're passable anyway. But right now I have the headliner, the main part of the headliner, laid out on the roof of the MG here, and I have the two rods that are going to go through it wrapped in, or just the ends of them done in heat shrink tubing, so that will stop the metal on metal contact inside the roof rails. So we're going to put those rails in, and then I'm going to bundle it all up and bring it into the inside of the car, and we're going to start laying it out in there and see how we go. Because of the fact that there's a ragtop on this, there's only two of the rods to go through. The rest of them you'd obviously have another 4 if you didn't have a ragtop. So anyway, the ragtop is going to give us an extra little bit of a challenge, but look, we'll just see how we go. So now this is where the fun really begins. Now, okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of this clip stuff and just clip the push this over the back here, and that's just going to keep our position there for the moment. And I'm going to pull the other end down the front and do the same there, and then we can kind of get a better idea how we're looking. Now, if you had a full complement of the rods in the roof or in the headliner, you would probably find this bit a little bit easier. But you can now, let's see. Just going to clip that on there now like that for a moment. All right. So I'm going to take the back one off, and I'm going to pull this tight here. So let's just take that off there for a second. Yep. Okay, so that kind of gives us a starting point now. Let's have a look and see how it is inside the car. Okay, folks, so off camera I have basically made sure that the positioning is correct on from the front to the rear and left to the right of the car. Now, you'll see there's a kind of little bit of creasing in the middle there. It's just from the packaging. I mean, there's not really, like I've applied a bit of heat, and until I actually basically pull everything tight, that's going to be there. Now, the other thing I've done here is I've clipped these pieces onto the gutters of the car just to kind of pull it taut across the car, because obviously we haven't got our bows there. So that's one of the kind of things that's, well, it's the reason it's sagging in the middle. Obviously it would be like that all the way across the car otherwise, but you know what? It'll be fine when we have it done. So next thing to do now is we need to start trimming some material, and we need to start attaching the headliner into the grippers up here at the top of the door. And when we have that done, then we'll be able to knock them into place. So out with the scissors again. All right, so the point of no return. So we're going to go from the B pillar here. I'm going to go about 1 inch in, and I'm going to just trim it there. And the point I'm going to bring it up to is, or the point I'm going to use as my kind of datum line is the gutter rail. So if we just basically trim about 1.5 inches of the material along here, now if I cut shy of the mark,
and I have to go back and cut a little bit more, that's all right. But if you cut too much off, then you're absolutely banjaxed. All right, so now let's take this off. And what we'll be doing is there will be we need to take more off this. So yeah, that's what we'll do. Take probably another, yeah, okay, so having looking at the grippers here, they're kind of hooks that we need to poke the headliner into. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get some glue. I'm going to spray the back of the headliner and spray along here, let that go tacky, and then we'll do that. Okay, so what I'm doing here now is I'm just pressing the headliner up to the roof or the inside of the car, just to make sure that there's enough slack there as we're tucking this in. Now, to be honest with you, I probably should have done that before I cut the material, but I think I'm all right. Now, let's see. Just get my scraper just to poke that in. So now we can knock our grippers into place. All right, so that's the first part attached, so I do the same over the other side now. I think this is going to look pretty good, folks. Obviously there's a lot to go, but I have the little seam folded up there as well now. So basically I just took it from that point, kind of folded it across, made a diagonal line over to the rear quarter window there. So we'll be able to work with that. So now we need to start bonding it along there. You've probably guessed I'm not overly worried about overspray of the adhesive, to be honest with you. And the reason being is it does come off quite easily with the right, with a little rubber solvent or whatever. So it's not like paint in that it can be removed. So we're gonna leave that to go tacky. Okay. So now. Right, so let's see how it's looking now. Okay, you'll see I've released the clips on the back window, so it's just kind of hanging down there. The reason being it was kind of very creased up at the back there, down on the C-pillars, so I wanted to see if we can actually pull it taut and get those creases out of it, and yes we can in actual fact. So now we are actually starting to make a bit of progress, but we're going to start working on the front now. But the thing is here is that obviously because of the fact that we haven't got any bows in the roof, things are a little bit different again. Now I'm kind of half thinking, should I actually cut the hole in the roof now or should I wait a little while? Yeah, I'll have a think about that one. Alright, so I've decided the best course of action is at the very least to attach the headliner at the windscreen, and then we can maybe work backwards from there and do the hole in the headliner for the ragtop. So yeah, I've sprayed the headliner with the adhesive along here. I've done the window lip and I've done just inside as well, up around where the rear view mirror and the sun visors and all that will mount to up along there. So that's all sprayed. I'm just waiting for it to go a little bit tacky and then we can go from that point. Now, one of the things I am aware of, in case you guys think I'm overlooking something major, the screws for the ragtop roof that go through the roof here, the nuts have to be accessed at the back here. So I'm well aware of that, and I know that I can't put that seam up over this until I've actually put those nuts back on. But still though, actually having it out of my way is still handier.
cut the hole for the rear view mirror now and install that. I just need to tidy up the corners now. So a bit of trimming involved here. Okay, so there is the section around the windscreen done, and it's not looking. I think I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the section around the opening for the headliner, or the ragtop. God, I just cannot think of the word. And that means that we can get all the way around to this point here, and then we can start kind of working at the back. Okay, so now that I have the part over the windscreen done, it's now time to cut out the section of the section for the ragtop. And yeah, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to press up against the material, and I'm going to go around it with the scissors and just cut it out, leaving about an inch all the way around. But we also want to put a little bit of a stretch in it as well as we go. So yeah, I think that method should do the trick for us. And then we can start kind of working our way back, and hopefully today I'll actually get the bit around the back window done. Now I doubt today I will get the windows in as well, but I'll keep going until I have to stop anyway. Okay, so you'll see now I have the ragtop roof back on, and what I'm going to do is just get some pieces of foam and just stick them over the bolts that are protruding down into the inside of the car. The headliner shouldn't be up against them, but I don't want to take that chance because they'll just puncture through it, and that will make me a very unhappy man. But I've also got the adhesive put on the headliner and around the edges here as well. So once I've got those pieces of foam stuck on, then we can start sticking. Alright, so let's get to sticking. Actually, I need to take that screw out first. I need to get a finishing strip for the front part of the ragtop. I actually did have one, but God only knows where it went. So it's alright. It was only like a piece of edging, like what you'd put at the edge of laminate floorboards. It seemed to work. Tricky bit here is actually trying to get the line right, because it's right on a seam, and it's going to be very obvious if it's not right. Okay, so the bit over the windscreen looks really good now. I'm very happy with that. So now we can start along the sides. We're going to need to cut out the hole for the interior light here as well at some point. But for the moment, I'm going to just leave it be. We can come back to that. I get the distinct impression that things are about to get tricky at the back here now. Anything I've seen about putting in headliners, it's always on the C-pillars that you end up with the crinkles and creases and everything like that. And given the fact that things have come so good at the front, I want to try and keep up with that and try and get it right at the back as well, obviously. So we'll... Now I had to re-stick some of the headliner on the rear quarter on this side because it wasn't taut enough across the roof. So now it is, and it looks a lot better. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to pull the... actually, what I want to do is I want to put a piece of clip along the opening for the ragtop, and then once that's there, then we can pull that taut there and stick it along the back of the window, and then we can kind of start looking at our C-pillars. Okay, so what you can see here is basically what I'm doing is I'm stretching the material, kind of pushing it into place, repositioning it,
and kind of just trying to get the general shape of it correct. Now there's a little bit of wrinkling in the top of the headliner, and I'm hoping when I actually stick the back of the ragtop opening, that will come good there. And besides, a little bit of time as well, and being parked in the sun over the summer and stuff like that will actually help that too. But yeah, it's starting to come good around the back window. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to cut out the fabric that's there, so that it'll be a little bit easier to kind of stretch and pull, because the excess material is kind of binding up on me. See, now straight away, having cut that material there, that's made things an awful lot better. So. Okay, so I think what I need to do now is I need to spray the glue along here and basically pull that down like that. If I can get that stuck. And it's this size more or less. And it's as good as I think I'll probably get it for a novice. But to be honest with you, I don't think I'm doing too badly. Okay, so definitely the rear window opening and the C-pillars are the most tricky parts of this process. And to be honest with you, I didn't get it 100%. There's going to be some areas down around here where I'm hoping it won't be the case, but I think some of the panel work might be still visible in behind. So I may need to just get a couple of little infill pieces. But they'll be in places where you won't really see unless you kind of go looking. So at least there's that. And I also have a piece of carpet to go at the back. I was going to install the this piece here up there, but the carpet goes all the way up to the bottom of the back window, so there's no need to do that. So yeah, I mean, look, as a first attempt, I don't think it's too bad. And I wouldn't be the most patient of sorts, I suppose, at times. Somebody who has more patience than me would probably do an awful lot better a job. But whatever way you twist it and turn it, it certainly improves the look of the car tenfold. So that's a big win in that instance anyway. And I feel like the car might actually be a nice thing to be in now at the moment, because the lack of headliner just made it look like an unfinished project the whole time. The next thing to do will be to stick in the carpets as well, and then get the windows obviously back in as well. There's one last piece I still need to put in for the headliner, and then that's it basically done. There are separate pieces to go at the bottom of the rear quarter windows. So there's one there and then one over there. So I'll put them in now, and I think I'll probably call it a day at this point. And then next thing is, as I said, start getting some glass back into it, and we'll see how it looks then. Okay, so final stage really is just to put these pieces along the bottom of the rear quarter lights. And what we're going to do is, I've already got the adhesive on and I've folded over the ends. So I'm going to stick it here, and the other end can go up along here. Now I want to try and stretch it out just to get rid of some of the wrinkles and creases. And
May have to trim a little bit more of this one actually. Not sure if we do, it's not the end of the world. It's very important though that you let the glue go tacky. So let's see, yeah, we'll just fold this over a little bit more than it already is. So that will solve that issue. Okay, and now I'm just going to smooth it around down there and stick it along there. We'll trim that in a second. And what we'll do is we'll trim along there, and we'll get our little seat bumper piece put back in there as well. Just while the glue is still tacky and while we can find exactly where the hole is. Alright, so little bumper's back on there now. And now what we can do is we can trim along there now in a second, but first I'm going to just trim the inside piece. Okay, so I think that pretty much finishes it up for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this video at this point, because there is obviously still a good bit to do, like putting the glass back in and kind of seats and carpets and all that sort of stuff. But there's another video's worth of material in that, so that's exactly what I'm going to do in this instance. But did the headliner turn out perfect? No, it didn't. I mean, but to be honest with you, it turned out better than I had expected it to. And although it's not the nicest job in the world to do, a lot of people tend to say, you know, oh God, the headliner is the worst job you can do on a car. I don't necessarily think it is. I think for the space of time it took me a solid kind of 6 hours to do maybe, and that's as a novice. So for a newbie, you know, such as myself, yeah, you have to allocate the time and you have to have a lot of patience. And for somebody with more patience than me, you know, you might get a better finish. But otherwise, you could spend the 500 quid and get the professionals to do it. But I'm glad I did it myself, to be honest with you. It's a box ticked, and yeah, definitely when all the cars put back together again, I think it'll really look the part. So join me in the next part anyway, where we'll get I'll show you me putting the glass in. I'll get some of the carpets in, and we'll start getting the interior looking really well. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you go.